Had a few things to do today. The gym's just really busy at the minute, so I've got tons of stuff to do at the gym,
Nice.
as always. But yeah, just coaching away. Go through to Glasgow quite a lot. Tuesday, Thursdays I'm in Glasgow,
Right.
training my guys there. They're like bare knuckle boxers through there, a few MMA fighters and that. So yeah, you go there through there quite a lot. But yeah, I was just in Dundee today, training my people.
Nice. Is that the guys that are fighting on BKFC by any chance?
Yes, it is. So
Who is it?
John Telfer, Sean Weir, and Jay McFarlane. I've got three guys fighting on that show.
Oh, that's quite cool. Are you going to go and watch it when it's...
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll go down.
Aye.
They want me to warm them up anyway, so I'll go and warm them up backstage because I don't. I prefer just being backstage out of all the drama in the crowds.
Aye, of course, aye. I can imagine these events would be quite rowdy and stuff as well, the bare knuckle. I've not been to one.
They're really good, mate. Like, what I noticed first time I went was just how it's much more violent than MMA and boxing. I just wasn't expecting it. So I kind of got taken aback a little bit by that. Like, this is proper vicious stuff.
Aye.
But it is good. It's a good watch. It's entertaining. The dogs went up. Aye, it's good. Coming up.
I quite like it. Like, I think it's something new and fresh. Like, the last couple of episodes I've recorded this podcast, like, the same topic keeps coming up. And I want to know your thoughts on this as well. Like, people are saying the UFC is kind of going stale. What's your thoughts on that?
I wasn't of that opinion until very recently. I thought like people were just kind of looking for stuff to talk about. But now what I've seen with people like Sean O'Malley coming out and talking about how he's not very happy with Conor Ben, about getting all that money, and Dana White's going to get a bit of backlash. I do think it might be time for Dana White to step away.
It's possible. There's something not quite right. It's too many people now saying the same thing. It's just kind of went off the boil a wee bit.
Yeah, it certainly has. And I thought bringing like this new Paramount era, I thought there'd be a lot of good things going on, but there's just not been anything yet. I mean, it's early days, but we just haven't got the star power we used to. Like, and people compare it to the Conor era and stuff. You're not going to have a star like Conor ever again, probably.
Exactly.
But even after that, you still had John Jones DC. You still had all these kind of maybe rivalries, things going on. You just don't seem to have that kind of anymore.
Aye.
I don't know. Strange.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. For me, it's about the lack of characters in the sport now. You really need personalities to drive the cars and to sell and promote. And at the minute, like, I mean, there's some great technical fighters, but I don't see the personalities.
No, absolutely. But I think also part of that is the problem of it looks like Dana White cares less now. They're not putting anything behind it. Again, I go back to Conor McGregor, but Conor McGregor versus Aldo, you had the big, massive press release when you're walking through Vegas, it looked unbelievable. It would give you goosebumps watching that kind of stuff. And now they've got nothing. Again, it's him going live. And I know this has been said, but it's just true. It's him going live on his phone, announcing fights. And it's just like, is that it? Like, where's the build-up? Where's anything? There's nothing going on.
It's become almost too common. It's like just a guy on his phone.
Yep.
Just trying to sell these big cards, and I think there's far too many of them on as well.
Yeah, I've got slated for saying this. I've said this a few times. I think we should cut the roster. And I know that might not be the best for everyone, but I think they should cut the roster, and they should. Like, I used to love when it was one a month. I used to love that. I kind of did like it when it was underground a little bit. I'm a fan of that. But even if it was a few times a month, I prefer that and have big shows rather than these fight nights where you've not heard of half of the card and the standard is very watered down. You don't want that. I would cut the roster immediately.
It's the same as, like, remember back in the day, like going to the cinema? It was a big event because you were waiting on a big movie coming out. You couldn't see it anywhere else when it was first released. Nowadays, you've got streaming services, your Netflix and stuff. And it's great that you can go and watch all these new films, but they don't have the same shine because they're just pumping them out.
Yeah. You're right. That's the exact same thing. Absolutely right. It's the exact same thing. I don't know how they get around it, though, to be honest. Like, they've got to put together a certain amount of cards per year. Like, I'm presuming they'll have Paramount have said to them, you need to show us X amount of cards per year. So how they get around that, I don't know. But I just think it's going to slowly kind of die off. Now, it's never going to die. It's the UFC. But it's not going to hit the heights of, I don't think, where it was before.
No, I don't think so. And maybe promotions like bare knuckle will gain out of that.
Yeah, I absolutely think they will. And like I say, when I went and watched it, yeah, it was much more violent, and that will put a lot of people off. But also, it was super entertaining, really entertaining.
And it's straightforward for people as well, because it's like in a variation of boxing, so people like just understand it instinctively. Whereas with MMA and Muay Thai and things like that, the rules and the scoring are quite complicated.
Absolutely.
So I just think bare knuckle boxing's maybe going to take over a wee bit.
I think another thing that'll help bare knuckle boxing is the rounds. Like, people understand boxing, but if it's 12 rounds, 3 minutes, you're like, fucking hell, I'm going to be here a long time. With bare knuckle boxing, I think it's 2 minute, well, it's 2 minute rounds, and then it's 3 rounds or 5 rounds. So it's insanely quick. And the intensity and pace of that is just much more viewer friendly, I think.
That's maybe a good starting point then. So how do you train bare knuckle boxing athletes different to you would in MMA?
So you need to try and like look at the sport and go, right, okay, how long does it last for? What are we seeing within that round? Well, we're seeing a lot more output, right? So we're seeing very high volumes of punches being thrown. What does that mean? Well, that means, one, they're going to have higher levels of lactic acid or lactate build up in their muscles, right? So they need to get good at efficient at burning that out, or flushing that out, sorry. Then also we need to look at things like, what also means, because we're punching more and we're punching more without gloves, we're going to have a lot of breaks and a lot of injuries to the hands and the forearms and wrists. So we need to look at that and be like, okay, how do we bulletproof the hands as much as possible? Now, it's impossible, but we want to make it as strong as they can. So that fracture or that crack is not as serious as it was going to be if you didn't do any S&C at all. So it's about mitigating the injuries as best you can. And from a conditioning perspective as well, it is just easier because it's not as long. And when it's MMA, you've got everything involved. You don't know where the fight's going to go. So it could be against the cage, which requires more isometric strength. It could be on the floor, which requires more isometric strength, or it could be standing. So you're kind of second guessing. And of course, your guys got their game plan they want to implement, but the opponent's got theirs as well. So it's one of those where it is a simpler sport from an S&C perspective, because I know how long it's going for, what's going to happen, where it's going to take place. So from that perspective, it is a bit of an easier job for me, I'll be honest.
Aye, that makes sense. I think just knowing that it can't go to the ground, there's no grappling exchanges, because they can be exhausting, especially if you're up against somebody who's really, really good. As you say, like the isometric, could you just explain a wee bit about that? I've heard people talk about isometric strength. What does that involve exactly?
So you've got 3 parts of a lift. So if we talk about, say, a chin-up, right, you've got the upward phase, which is called the concentric. You've then got the hold at the top. So if you hold it, that's the isometric. And then you've got the downward phase, which is called the eccentric, right? A lot of wrestling, grappling, clinch work is isometric strength. It's where you're holding a position. So if you imagine doing a wall sit, that is a type of isometric. Just holding a squat is a type of isometric, right? So you can get your body good at that position. So Paul Craig, for example, he was very, very strong in those positions. If he got an overhook on you, you're getting like clamped up. It's like, wow, you really feel it. Whereas other people might be stronger than Paul Craig in terms of numbers, but they haven't got that isometric strength, and they need to develop it, and you train it in different ways to do that.
Aye, that makes sense. Like, you see some people with the good with leg locks, and when they latch onto a leg, they're just not letting it go. They're pretty much. Would that be a good example of isometric strength?
Yeah, that's isometric. Yes, that's isometric strength as well. If we get that, you get that Achilles lock, and you manage to cinch it in. You keep that elbow nice and tight to your side. If you've got good isometric strength, it's certainly going to help. Even a rear naked choke where you're putting the squeeze on. That's that's an isometric squeeze. So you want to be good in that position. And then you want to be good at it because your body gets more efficient with it, and then it feels less taxing to you. Right? Because the hardest part of MMA, like we've talked about, but if you ask most fighters, they'll say it's going from grappling or wrestling back into striking, back into grappling, because you're getting the lactic acid buildup, right? Technically, it's not lactic acid, but we all know what lactic acid means. It's just that burny feeling, right? Yeah. You're getting that massive burny feeling. Your hands feel super, super heavy, and then you've got to throw again with nice technique, and then you've got to wrestle again, and that's when you get people really starting to fatigue, and they won't feel it in their lungs necessarily. They'll just feel it muscularly. They'll feel like, whoa, I have not got any power. My hands are dropping and I cannot keep them up. So that's what we need to get good at for MMA fighters.
All right, how do you get good at that? What's the...
So a simple thing I do right at the start is just introduce isometrics very slowly to them. So whenever we're doing any kind of row movement, chin-up movement, any kind of movement like that, I will add like a 4-second isometric at that point. So we row and we hold for 4 seconds, engage the back muscles. A lot of people find it hard to engage the back muscles properly, right? It's much easier to just tense your bicep because you can see your bicep. But how do you squeeze your rhomboid? That's kind of hard, you know? So that kind of gets that feeling of, I know how to use my back and utilize my back now. And then we're going to do that in a conditioning method where we do something, we'll do longer sprints or we'll do shorter sprints, and that will kind of target different parts of the body. So there's a thing called oxygen utilization. And basically, I like to think of conditioning in two kind of realms. One is your oxygen delivery, which is just, can you get oxygen into your body and around your body? That's your lungs that are doing that, heart and lungs, right? Then you've got oxygen utilization, and that is when it gets delivered to these muscles, how efficient is your muscles at using it?
Yeah.
Or is it wasting a lot of it and not using it? So if we develop that, that's when you feel like you're not getting tired when you're doing an isometric squeeze because you're using all that. And then you have obviously like other things that can improve it, like flushing out lactic acid. I've seen that, like having a good like what we call aerobic base or lower heart rate, that kind of stuff. Being good at recovery, being able to breathe properly, kind of flushes out all that kind of stuff. That's a roundabout way of answering that, mate. Sorry.
No, that's a good way. It's really scientific, you know. Like I can remember going back to when I started in Muay Thai, and everything was just kind of like, we do this because the Thais do it, and it was very old school, like slow, steady state, running for long periods of time, and like you felt fit, but you never felt strong, and you never felt like explosive.
Yeah. Does
that make sense? I think that's all changed now.
Absolutely. And I look at it like creating, this is a bit weird, but a video game character. I don't know if you were a gamer back in the day, but
I played a few, yeah.
So when you've got a character create, you usually have kind of stat points and you could put it up, but then if you've put up their strength, then maybe their stamina goes down. You've got to kind of balance it out, right? So you could make him a marathon runner, right? And you could do all the slow state stuff, and he's maxed out on stamina that way, right?
Yeah.
But name an explosive marathon runner. They don't fucking exist because this doesn't exist, right? Because you're training slow. If you train slow, you're going to become slow. So we don't want that maxed out, right? Likewise, you don't want to be someone who's maxed out just the power and strength, right? Because then you're going to be great in the first round, but you're going to die off in the fifth round. So again, how do we get that balance? And to be honest, it's going to be different to every single athlete. For example, Yoel Romero or someone who is just naturally powerful, we don't want to take away their super strength of being super powerful, but we need to maybe improve that conditioning. Conor McGregor, he's just naturally a powerful athlete. We would probably want to improve his kind of aerobic base or that kind of longer steady state stuff.
That always seemed to be the thing that got him, was the cardio over the rounds.
Yes.
He always started really strong.
But I'll tell you why that is. Well, this might be why. I spoke to someone, I'll not name names, but I spoke to people on his team, and they said to me they wanted to make him the best 2 to 3 round fighter, 1 to 2 to 3 round fighter out there, right? They want to make him absolutely dominate in those rounds. And my question back to that was, well, what happens when it goes to the 4th and 5th round? And they said, well, our job is to make sure it doesn't get there. And I just thought that is a really, really weird way of thinking about the sport.
100%.
And it's a very big gamble.
A huge gamble, and it paid off, to be fair. In his early career, he was starching people.
He was
early on.
People. He was.
Aye, that would make sense because he bulked right up at one point as well.
Yeah.
I think it was... On you go, mate.
No, he certainly did bulk up, and that won't have helped him, right? We don't even get into how I think he bulked up. But He bulked up, and that
Aye.
probably didn't help him in that sense because he's obviously carrying more muscle mass. More muscle mass requires more oxygen going to it, basically. So it's going to affect him negatively again.
Aye, it seemed to happen after the leg break, didn't it? When he had the leg break against, I think it was Poirier.
Yeah, Dustin Poirier broke his leg.
And then he sort of was out the game for a while, and he ballooned away up. And honestly, I couldn't believe it when I seen him in videos and stuff like that. And he looked like an absolute monster at one point.
He was huge, absolutely huge. And this is when, yeah, he wasn't probably getting tested at that point. We'll put it that way.
Aye, and he's coming back as well for the, I think, well, so they say for the White House card. I think.
Yeah, so he says. But look, I've said for a long time now, I don't think he'll ever fight in the UFC again.
Really?
Yeah, not until he goes to rehab. Not until he goes to rehab, because he'll fail the tests when they do test him.
He was looking good. Like, I've seen a couple of his more recent social media videos, and he was looking trim again, and he looked a bit less bloated, kind of a bit around the face, and he's training and stuff. So fingers crossed he can turn it around.
I really hope so. I really hope so, because how exciting was he? Remember, karate stance McGregor was something else. Unbelievable. I was talking to him about it today in my gym. But yeah, unbelievable. So if he can turn it around, I think he needs to turn his life around with it. That would be absolutely superb, and everyone would be buzzing. I just don't know if he can at this stage and this age. That amount of money in the bank. I don't know if he wants to.
It's a tall task for anybody, really. You know, see, just on that, you mentioned the kind of karate style McGregor. Remember, he was doing all the kind of movement stuff with Ido Portal back in the day. What's your take on that stuff?
So, it's a little bit of that stuff is going to be good for you, right? Ido Portal is made a system out of it because he wants to sell it. You can't sell a 10-minute at the end, whatever. Right? I mean, I can't sell you that. Right? Yeah. But what I can sell you is free 60-minute long sessions where you're focusing just on movement and it's going to improve. Like, I could sell you that, right? Yes. Do you necessarily need that? Probably not. It's like a fighter doing yoga. Will they get benefits out of doing yoga? Absolutely they will. They will. But do we need the whole system to just be about yoga where they're spending hours upon hours doing it? Or stretching? Do we need to spend hours upon hours doing stretching? Probably not. And there's, again, it's that fine point of diminishing returns. I probably think he went too far with it. But to just knock it and say it's not that good, it's a load of rubbish, that guy was a weird hippie, is probably not right either. There's obviously little benefits to it, absolutely.
There's definitely something in that. And I find that, like, I'm no expert in fitness or strength and conditioning at all. Like, but when I go on Instagram and I see some other coaches and the stuff they're putting out there, it's like they're trying too hard to sell you this thing that's like way too complicated. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Like I always say, stay away from anyone who says they've got the secret or have a system. If they are selling a secret or selling a system, they're just selling stuff to you. And the problem is, like, me and you have made a job from social media, right? So social media is absolutely brilliant. However, it comes with an issue. The issue is people just want to chase numbers and they want to go viral as much as they can. And you won't get virality by just going, do bench press, do chin-ups, do squats, do 5 reps, do 5 sets of that, and you'll get strong. Because people have heard that all before. So what are they going to do? They're going to make up stuff. They're going to create these fanciful things and then try and sell you that.
But on the flip side of that, I think that's short-lived though for them, because people will cotton on to what we've just spoke about. Whereas the guys like yourself who are doing the scientific approach, you'll have a longer career.
Yeah, it's probably got a longer tail to it. Yeah, like you say, eventually people will get wise to it. It's like, who was the guy? Liver King. It's like the Liver King. People were, he was all the rage for a while. The Liver King. And then, of course, he was on steroids and he got caught being on steroids. And no one talks about it. He's a bit of a joke now, to be honest. So that's the kind of thing I think will happen. Everybody's talking about fascia training and all this nonsense. And again, he'll be around for a few years and it'll disappear.
That's why I sent you that clip the other day, the Russians in the Olympics, and it showed you that, I don't know if it was nervous system training,
Yeah.
And they were all like jumping up and down and doing this and that. And in my mind, I was saying, but what about the steroids they were pumping them full of? So I sent it to you straight away. You're like, it was the steroids.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just silly to ignore that fact. Like, and also they have a massive survivorship bias because they were literally had hundreds of thousands of people doing this, and they're just pumping them all through steroids. And of course, you're going to get some freaks that are able to survive all this nonsense. But yeah, it's just a lot of it steroids. I mean, I'm sure you saw the documentary Icarus, right? Have you seen that documentary?
No, I have not. No.
Watch that documentary. Unbelievable documentary. But it's basically how the Russians in the Olympic sports and why they got banned. It's to do with that, and it's a guy who's involved with that. So watch that documentary. But yeah, they're still going on to this day, and it's naive to think that it's not going on, to be honest.
What annoys me a wee bit is like, see, not so much for the sports side of things, but you get these guys on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and they're fitness coaches, and you can tell they're maybe my age. I'm 40. You can tell they're on TRT and stuff, and they're showing off this physique, and it looks incredible. And they've obviously put in the work as well. But they're saying it's because of the diet they're following and it's their training regime. You're kind of like, but tell us the other part where you've been taking the TRT, because you can tell, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're honest about it, you know?
Absolutely right. And it's the same with the retatrutide now or the Ozempic now. It's the same kind of thing.
Aye.
You know, people are doing that. Just look, if you're on it, that's absolutely fine, especially with testosterone or TRT, because my views on it, if a woman or a man is deficient in vitamin D, we'll give them a vitamin D supplement. So if you're deficient in testosterone, you should be given testosterone. It's the same thing, but it's quite a taboo subject, and people make it taboo or more taboo because, like I said, they don't speak about it. Just say, I'm on TRT, and it's because I'm 40 years old and I can't get up anymore. So, and
then at least you know it's a level playing field. Everybody knows the rules.
Exactly.
You can see the guy. You can say, well, he does train hard. Obviously, he eats right. He does sleeps right. Does all the right things, but he's also taking this.
Yeah. And
again, I think there's more longevity in that because people will trust you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at someone like, I'm not basically a massive fan of this guy, but a guy called James Smith, who's very famous.
I do know that guy, yeah.
So James Smith, he just came out and said, I've started taking TRT. And that's the way it should be. Yeah, he's getting older. I think he's like ages with me, so he's 35. Mid-30s is when you should start looking at it.
Yeah.
Your TRT is low because it has massive, massive effects for men in terms of mental health as well. So something that we shouldn't be shying away from, and we should actually be checking and making sure our bloods are all right.
Well, how does it play in sports? Is that a big no-no? Would it be checked and flagged up in a system?
So in football, from what I've heard, if you have a doctor's note, basically you can take TRT, right?
Okay.
So you can take testosterone. In MMA, obviously we had, back in the day, there was TRT Belfer, Belfer, and they just got abused. They got abused because there's a way to get around the testing, right? So you could artificially suppress your testosterone during that test window. So you get tested, you've got no testosterone. So they're like, wow, you need a lot of testosterone. And you're just like Bane. You're just shooting it in your legs and you're absolutely jacked. And you're like, oh, I'm on TRT, right? It's a good time. It was a good time. Like Uberim, remember Uberim?
Yeah. Those guys. They looked like comic book heroes at that time.
They looked great. And there's a very famous transformation picture. It was like a before and after, but the other way around, of Vitor Belfort when it was TRT Belfort and then coming off. Right?
It looked like somebody popped a balloon.
Exactly. but look, that was getting their advantage any way they can. And technically it was legal at that point. It depends on each sport. I think a lot of footballers are doing it. I think a lot of NFL stars are doing it. Rugby people will 100% be doing it. It just depends on the sport and how strict the testing is. The thing with drug testing is it's very expensive for the sport to implement, especially random drug testing year round. That's very, very expensive. So that's why a lot of places don't do it.
I can imagine smaller organisations would really struggle to put that in place.
You've got no testing in things like there's Octagon, there's Cage Warriors, there's Bellator has it, but I think it's just basically on fight week. So that's more of an IQ test than anything else. Like the testing is very minimal. And if you know people, I've been contacted people from America and they're basically scientists that get round the testing. So there is corruption's an element of it, 100%. State sponsored is absolutely an element of it, 100%. But there's also an element of there's just smart scientists out there, and if you pay enough money, you can just get round the testing.
Aye, that makes sense. So did you train in martial arts as well before you, or do you still train, or?
Used to do a bit of MMA and then just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, some BJJ purple belt.
Oh, nice.
And I've not done that in a while, actually. It's probably the longest period I've kind of not been just busy with the gym and busy kind of training athletes. So it's kind of hard, as you know, to get it in.
Oh.
But yeah, that's kind of where I started my love of combat sports in. And that's how I knew when I moved over to be a strength and conditioning coach, I just wanted to concentrate on that. I was like, I don't want to know anything about figure skating or anything like that.
It's a good way to do it. I think you can eventually niche down and find and there's a great market for it at the minute because MMA has just exploded in combat sports in general. BKFC, you know.
It's good from a marketing perspective, absolutely. But it's also good just from a learning expense or a knowledge perspective, because I don't need to look at all these other things that other sports require. Like field sports require a completely different set of things than MMA does. Like change of direction doesn't really happen in MMA because it needs to be at high velocities, very high speeds. MMA doesn't get up to those high speeds for it to be change of direction. It's agility in MMA, if anything. So yeah, I don't need to concentrate on any of that. I've just got my stuff that I need to know, which is all combat sports based. So it makes it easier for me in that sense.
You can't do it all. It's impossible.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I've dialed in on what I want to do, and that's it.
Who did you train with in BJJ?
So it was my coach was Billy Beckers, which is an MMA coach in Dundee, and then it was Grant Cruikshank, who is Origin Jiu-Jitsu. So I think his lineage is like Mark Walder and people like that. But yeah, it's just a small club in Dundee. And then I go through to higher level and see all the guys rolling at higher level. And it's
I was there for a while as well in BJJ. I was up there. I've not been for about a year or something. I'm dying to get back. I stay quite far away. 40 minutes away. And like yourself, I've got a family. I've got busy. You've tried to go to the gym yourself. You're trying to mix everything in social media, and it's just it's a tough sell, you know.
It's hard to do, and people don't realize how long it takes to create content, because I'm quite bad for trying to create content, but also you're on your phone. So I end up getting caught into the scrolling now, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've just scrolled for 20 minutes and not done anything. I'm trying to create content. So it is a tricky balance and act, but there's no better gym in Scotland than a higher level, in my opinion.
Oh, it's fantastic. Brilliant. Absolutely great. The BJJ is a phenomenal class, both gi and no gi.
Yeah.
Brilliant, you know.
Who's that was taking that when you were doing that?
Danny Gray would take the gi when I was there, and Danny would take both classes, I think. He would take the no gi on the Saturday morning.
Yeah, Danny.
Kieran would take the Monday.
Yep.
As well, and it was a great class. I really miss it, but again, it's like 3-4 hours a night for me because of the traveling and
travel,
just you know. But someday,
one day we'll be back.
Exactly. And it's some trek for you as well.
So I am an hour and 10-15 minutes to higher level. So it's a bit of a trek.
See, if I stayed closer, I would never be at the place. I would do the Muay Thai, I would buy the membership and just do everything I could. Instead of going to the gym. Because they've got weights and all that as well in there. Yeah,
they've got weights, they've got a wee weights room. But are you closer to Glasgow, like Euro Central then? Are you closer that way?
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I used to train Muay Thai at the Grip House, which is a wee bit closer. It's about half an hour away. I did jiu-jitsu very briefly in there, like way back in the day. But again, it's still a drive. You're caught in traffic. Going there, coming back, you could be longer than 40 minutes.
Yeah,
because you're contented with the M8, I think, the M74 and the M8, and there's always traffic. Whereas going to higher level, it's the M8 the other way, and you're pretty much you're straight in and straight back out. So, but someday I'll get back into it. But I want to try and I've been keeping up the gym, just like the kind of 2 or 3 days a week I can manage. And I was going to actually ask you a wee bit about that.
Absolutely.
So see for somebody like me who's a kind of average Joe, but looking to keep a decent level of fitness, develop some strength, how do I get the most bang for my buck in that kind of 2-3 hours a week?
So 2-3 hours a week isn't an issue. So that's not the problem. It's not like you should be doing more, right? My professional athletes are doing 2 to 3 hours of S&C a week.
Well, seriously?
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
So this is the big misconception, that people think they need to be in hours and hours of strength and conditioning. You don't. So I'll tell you how my sessions are set up with my athletes, right? They've got a strength and conditioning session. So it'll be 45 minutes of strength, and then it'll be 15 minutes of conditioning, sprints or whatever it may be. That's twice per week. And then they'll have one kind of what we call zone 2 run or steady state run per week. So there's your third, right? Now, if they have time, they can split those sessions, so they can do strength with me and then conditioning another day if they wanted to. But most of them do it just straight after each other, right?
Yeah.
So you've got that. So the fact that you've only got 2 to 3 hours is absolutely fine. You've got more than enough time. But what you need to be making sure is that you're efficient in your time. So your goals are to obviously keep your fitness, build a bit of strength, yeah? So you're looking at obviously starting off with your compound lifts. So you want to one day maybe do deadlift, I would say 5x5 or 3x5, so 3 sets of 5 reps, having a bit of rest, 2-minute rest in between. Don't waste that 2-minute rest. Do some core in between, do some mobility in between. Okay, it's not going to fatigue you for your next set, but you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck, a little bit more work in there. Next exercise, you're going to do maybe bench press. Same system, 3x5, right? Same thing, do a bit of mobility, do a bit of core in between. Then you go into what we call our accessory lifts. That can simply be some flies, it could be some rows, it could be anything like that. That is basically it. Like I would maybe have 6 exercises in a session, 5 to 6 exercises in a session. If you're struggling for time, you superset it. So you do one exercise into the next exercise.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would only do that for my accessory exercises, so I wouldn't do it on my big compound lifts. So
no.
Your 2 first lifts are your biggest bang for your buck. You want to be concentrating on them, not fatiguing yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then the next session, so say you go on a Tuesday, you want to have maybe a day's rest in between. Then you go on a Thursday, you would maybe do box squats. I prefer box squats over normal squats because they're good for your knees, they're a bit safer on the knees. I actually prefer belt squat over all of them.
Aye.
If you've got a belt squat in your gym, I would suggest using that. No?
No.
So I would use a box squat. So a box squat could basically be a bench. So you know your weightlifting bench, sit on that. Just go down on that and up. That's what I would do. 3x5 again. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Takes the tension off the knees in the bottom position. Likewise, it takes a little bit of tension off the back as well. So it's a little bit safer. And if your gym has what's called a safety squat bar, which is the bar that kind of wraps around the front, use that.
Okay, they've definitely got that. I've seen that for sure.
Use that just because it's easier on the shoulders. So then you're doing your squat, then you might want to go in and do a chin up afterwards. Again, 3x5, 3x5, and then you've got your accessory work. Maybe you want to do a wee bit of hamstrings, maybe you want to do a wee bit of triceps, completely up to you. The key thing though, is you're going to keep this for 6 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, and you're going to progressively overload, meaning you're going to get heavier each week where you can, okay? Mm-hmm. Because if you chop and change it, you're having to learn a new lift again, and it's just not as beneficial because you're just restarting every single fucking session.
Aye.
In terms of conditioning, it depends where your conditioning is at. It depends how long you've got. You've got a really nice one, which is 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off, 4 times. This is called the Norwegian, and it was seen to kind of improve VO2 max a lot, right?
Yeah.
Again, you probably would want to only keep that for 4 to 6 weeks max. And then you've got your sprints that you can do on the assault bike, and there's hundreds of different sprint protocols you can do. You can do a Tabata, which wouldn't take long at all. You could do 30-second sprints, which would be extremely hard, but wouldn't take long at all. So that's what I would be doing, mate. And then if you can get a zone 2 in, a nice easy plod, that's good for kind of well-being, health, general fitness.
Aye, perfect. That sounds, I mean, I'm not a million miles away from what you just described there. Mm-hmm. Maybe slight kind of variations. Mm-hmm. I was kind of doing the compound lifts, and then I was doing the 2, like slow and steady. So it was like 4 times a week. That's what I was trying to do. But you're right. So would you just tack the conditioning on to the end of the lift? And that's a good way to do it, kind of thing. Yeah. Aye, that's news to me, so I'll definitely be trying that.
Yeah. It'll save you so much time. Like, is it the most optimal? Probably fucking not. You should probably be fresh for those conditioning. But mate, you're not trying to be a professional athlete at the top of the game.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're just trying to get in, get out, get your work done, build a bit of fitness, get healthier, get stronger. And that's all
Exactly. I mean, I like the idea of getting in shape and stuff like that, but also like the idea of building some strength in case, well, not in case, but I will go back to BJJ. So I want to have that behind me.
Absolutely.
Because that is the one thing that I always felt when I was there. Some of the guys were just much, much stronger. You could feel it on the mat. And some of that is technique, of course, right? But the guys that were strong with technique were a nightmare.
Oh yeah, I've been skinny and weak and done jiu-jitsu, and I've been big and strong and done jiu-jitsu. I tell you what, it's much easier being big and strong and doing jiu-jitsu.
I've only ever been skinny and weak and done it, so
you're at a massive disadvantage. No, it's honestly, it's night and day. It's easier, and yes, from a technical technique perspective, it might not be the best because you start relying on your strength. You just do naturally. You start ripping on Kimuras or, like, you know what I mean, doing a wee bit more, putting a wee bit more strength into exercises or, submissions that you probably should, and you might not get them because your technique isn't perfect. But at the end of the day, a tap's a tap. That's what I always say. A tap's a tap. So if you can get it from strength, it doesn't matter. People use, because like strength in BJJ is very, like, it's almost looked down upon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's looked down upon, but like they don't look down upon flexibility. You don't say, "Oh, you're using too much flexibility," and that. You know what I mean? They don't say, "Oh, your conditioning's too good." That's not technique. That's just your conditioning.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's just people get a wee bit annoyed because a technical person can beat. Sorry, a stronger person can sometimes beat the better technical person.
That comes from the old school Gracie marketing. Remember the old Gracie Jiu-Jitsu ads? It was about the skinny guy beating the big beach, the big muscle-bound guy and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, there's a point where that is true. If a fucking black belt who's really skinny is going up against a white belt, the money's on the black belt no matter how strong the white belt is. However, there's a point if you're going up against fucking Thor or fucking, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And they've done a bit, you're in a bit of trouble.
Exactly. Well, did you ever see the video? It was Gunnar Nelson going up against Thor.
Yes.
And he put it on him a wee bit. Now, I think Goonie eventually got out to his back and caught him in a rear naked or something. Yep. But I think it injured him for a long, long time.
I think his ribs were fucked, weren't they? And like, that wouldn't be Thor going 100% like deadlift level of strength. You've genuinely, I don't know if you've seen the Game of Thrones where he crushes the guy's head. He could have probably done that to Gunny. You know what I mean? Like, realistically. Sure. So, yeah, point where like size is just gonna, like, that kind of size is just freaky. You know what I mean?
It becomes insurmountable at some point. It's the same with big power hitters as well. Some people can generate just insane power in their strikes. They only need to catch you once.
Yep.
You could be dancing about, you could be landing shots, they catch you and it's like,
it's game over.
It's game over, you know.
Yeah, we'll look at Francis Ngannou or Deontay Wilder's a great example.
Perfect, exactly. See, out of all the guys, because you've trained guys like Paul Craig, Chris Duncan, the Clancy brothers, out of all of them, is there any of them that are just like freakishly strong? Like, who would you say, if you don't mind saying, like?
No, I don't mind saying, because I say it all the time, but it's Sean Clancy.
Do you know, I was curious about that. It just looks as if there's something different about him.
Different athlete altogether. And I tested him. I did test him with him, and then I've retested him now that he's got a wee bit older. And his numbers when he was younger were frightening. Like, like we have an average score of where you should be for a professional athlete. He was above the average at age 19, 20, right? So he was way above the average. Now that he's 22, he is way above the average of any athlete. So there's him and there's Sean Weir, who's the bare knuckle boxer.
Oh, aye, that guy, yeah.
Sean Weir's a wee bit older and took a wee bit of time out from, he took about maybe 8 to 10 years out of combat sports, basically. But he's an absolute freak as well. And they two are always kind of vying for like top of my leaderboards on my jump tests and all this kind of thing. And it really pushes them. It's good to see. But yeah, Sean Clancy and Sean Weir are both absolute freaks.
And it's got to play to their advantage in that sport.
Oh yeah. Like, I always say, no one ever lost a fight from being too strong. You know what I mean? No one came out the octagon going, damn it, I wish I was weaker in that fight. You know?
No, I think I seen Sean Weir's last fight in BKFC. I watched it, and It was quite a scrap, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was
against Joe
just
Lister, against a young 19-year-old like gypsy
a
built
gypsy kind of
guy.
English guy, and he looked good. That guy.
Yeah, he was
He,
touted to be like he's got hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. I think Conor
aye,
McGregor was pushing him as the star of coming through, and yeah, unfortunately for him, he came up against Sean Weir, who's just an absolute psychopath and technically exceptional. Now he was sparring with Richard Riakpo, he's a cruiserweight boxer, but fringe world level boxer, and doing very well. So when you've got that kind of sparring, when you've got that kind of athleticism, you've got James Doolan, Kieran Smith as your coach. You know what I mean?
aye.
You're going to be a problem. You're going to be a big problem.
For sure. With James's knowledge as well, he's been in it forever.
Unbelievable.
He's an incredible. Some team you've got there with yourself in the strength and conditioning side of things. With James's knowledge of like all fight sports, we say boxing as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's he's just like a mastermind basically.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So I'm really looking forward. I think is it Newcastle the next BKFC?
Yeah, Newcastle in I think 3 weeks time.
No, is it 3 weeks time?
3 weeks time, yeah. So we'll be heading down for that. So everything for me with these guys is kind of coming down a little bit. In terms of the intensity is still there, but the duration, like they've done their heavy lifting now, they've done that hard work. So they're kind of just coming down a little bit. Their sparring's still intense and stuff. But from my perspective, it's coming down a little bit with them.
I think I can get tickets. I can get like press passes or something to get into that event as well. The guy I work for, Mike Davis, he works with BKFC every weekend in the States.
Ah, okay.
And he's kind of he knows a few people. So he said to me, like, he can sort of get me in or get like a friend in with like press credentials and stuff like that.
You should do it, mate, because it is a great experience. It is a great experience.
But I think there's a catch. He wants us to do some sort of like write-up or like speaking piece or something like that after the event, which I don't mind, we'd do that to go.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely worthwhile going to see it because that was a great event last time I went to see it. And yeah, it's surprisingly good. I was very impressed with it.
Was it a packed arena? Did they sell out?
I was pretty sure it was packed. It was James DeGale was headlining it. Pretty sure. Yeah, James DeGale was headlining it. It was packed out. The atmosphere was incredible. The production was very good as well, and the way it was run was professional as well. I was quite impressed with that. So yeah, it was a really good show. Really good show.
I'm going to try my best to get to this one, but you know what it's like. The family busy, there's things pop up, so we'll wait and see. But it would be ideal to get along to a BKFC and just see, especially if there's so many Scottish guys. Is Brian Hislop fighting on it as well?
I don't know if Hissy's fighting on this one. I don't think he's fighting on the Newcastle one. But I'm pretty sure he has got a fight on one of them. I don't think it's Newcastle. The only three Scotsmen are on it are Jay McFarlane, John Telfer, and Sean Weir.
It's a strange thing as well. Like what we've noticed about the BKFC, the MMA guys seem to sometimes do a lot better than the boxers. Is that a skill issue or is that a strength and conditioning issue? What's your thoughts on that?
So from my perspective, boxers are terrible in the clinch from actually being able to strike from there. A lot of them just hold and hug.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't do that and you can't do that in BKFC. You need to be striking, otherwise you get split up. So the striking and the clinch is a massive factor. And MMA fighters are just far and away much, much better than that. And boxers, as you would understand, as you would expect. So that's a massive issue. I think also MMA, I don't know. I think it's a skill issue. I just think a lot of maybe boxers come across thinking that they're going to batter these people because they think, I've been boxing for years. I can do this no bother at all. And then they quickly realise this is a different sport. And it is a different sport. And they realise that when they're in there. The clinch, like I say, is just miles different. So they need to get good at the clinch. It's imperative for a boxer coming across the BKFC, in my opinion.
And also, I think sometimes boxers tend to cover with the glove. I don't know how much this plays into it, but there's a bit of padding there. It feels safe to sort of cover. Whereas I would imagine trying to cover with your hands and taking shots on the bare hands with somebody else's bare hands is a totally different prospect.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think there is a bit of protection in that glove being able to cover, and you just naturally would probably go to that. Whereas an MMA fighter, obviously used to the MMA gloves, it's a completely different prospect.
They've got that there on their side as well.
Yeah.
Cool. So as well as coaching like kind of full-time athletes and people in MMA and stuff. Do you coach ordinary kind of everyday people as well?
So I coach people who want to train like athletes.
Okay.
So whether that be BJJ hobbyists or whether that be people just wanting to lose weight and look good, I do that, but they're trained in an athlete manner. So I call it average to athlete, right? So you might be an average Joe, but we're training like an athlete. Because if you look at athletes, what they're trying to do, well, they're trying to get stronger, more powerful, fitter, feel better, move better. I mean, would all of us not like a bit of that?
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
you see some of these gym guys, like, they look amazing. You know, bodybuilders, like I see them when I'm in there and they're training, like they're supersetting, but they just do their split routine and they obviously take steroids as well. They look fantastic.
Yep.
But can they move the same as one of your guys?
Absolutely not. And I remember I did a box jump, very basic box jump, just to show one of my athletes what to do who was starting out. And there was a bodybuilder there, and he went, "Oh, if I tried to do that, my quads would explode." And I was just like, "Really?" I was like, he was the same age as me, and I was like, "Wow, like, why would you want to be able to, well, not be able to move, not be able to do anything?" I was like, "Nah, it's not for me, that kind of stuff." But I get its appeal.
It's aesthetics, basically. Yeah. The strangest thing, I once read a wee article, and it was Gordon Ryan, I think it was, and he was claiming that he trained like a bodybuilder for his. He does.
Yeah. And the reason he does, though, is because his partner is his strength and conditioning coach, and his partner is an IBF, whatever JJ fucking bodybuilder girl. So she's doing all this, and I'll just let the dog out.
I know what it is.
Go on. And her, I remember there's a video online, and you can have a look. It's on YouTube, and she basically says we're going to do an arms day, but we're going to do it in an explosive, athletic manner. And they're just doing a fucking bicep curl. I'm like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah.
What is
just
this?
like.
And again, he gets away with it. Why? Because he's on copious amounts of steroids. So yeah, exactly. He's going to be big and strong from doing all this shit just because he's taking so much gear. He's going to be able to recover from it and train every day because he's doing so much gear. But if you're not that enhanced, it's a different kettle of fish, and you can't train like that.
And he's grappling every day, so a portion of his strength probably comes to the fact that he's been on the mats. He's pretty much his whole life, so he's going to be a strong guy irrespective. So that's probably just looks that he's piling on top of, just an image he's basically building on top of his already good base.
Yeah.
Have you ever trained any wrestlers?
No, obviously being in Scotland, wrestling's not the biggest.
Of course.
So I've never ever trained any wrestlers. Like BJJ, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA and boxing. But yeah, no, I've not done that. Why'd you ask?
Because those guys look just absolutely insane. I watched some of their training sessions, and you watch wrestling matches, and it's like lifting weights with movement while it's moving, while the weight's moving, you know?
Yeah, so it's extreme sport. I think what you'll see with a lot of wrestlers, especially American wrestling, there's obviously we only see the ones that break through and make it. But I guarantee there are thousands of super talented, maybe even better talented people than them who are just broken down by that stage and are just injured.
I've actually been dying to ask somebody with your kind of knowledge about this. Did you ever see the clip that went out years ago about Rogan, and he had a guy called Firas Zahabi, who was GSP's coach, and he was talking about like intensity versus volume?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about. I know exactly what podcast you're talking about. Yeah, mate.
What, is that accurate, the information he was given, or?
So his opinion of it, I think, was along the lines of basically he believes in just doing a little bit often.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is like, I think Joe Rogan talks about him all the time. Pavel Patslini.
Pavel Tutsalini or something like that.
That's the one. Aye. So look, and there is if you do a little thing all the time, you're going to get better of it in increments. But there is nothing compared to lifting a deadlift off the floor that's maybe for 3 reps as fast as you possibly can. Like that for me is going to get you much more benefits than the volume aspect of just lifting a little bit here and there and doing it all the time. I believe that you need the intensity, right? But it might be safer doing it their way. from an perspective. But
from memory, I think what he was saying is like there's a place for the intensity. So say it was wrestling, for example, a portion of your year, maybe saying your off season, like you do the intensity, but then for the rest of your year, when you bring yourself up to a certain heart rate or intensity, you immediately cut the session off to avoid injury. And your body should have felt the intensity for the rest of your season. I don't know if that's true.
I would think that, say we're talking about getting into the red zone of heart rate, right? I think if you've not done that in such a long period of time, you're going to lose that capacity and the adaptations that we're chasing. You're going to lose that. It's going to be dampened slightly. But this was that guy and Faras and all this, like he was probably maybe before the times of HRV, training schedules properly, like all that kind of stuff was pretty new. It was newer. Checking your heart rate, is it elevated? Let's pull back the session slightly. So they're looking at it from a perspective of the noughties and the 90s where it was go. And that's where they're like, oh no, that's bad. And they're right, that all in is bad. But we're smarter nowadays. We've got the HRV, we've got the heart rate monitors, we've got the subjective trackers. We know about recovery and rest and being overtrained. Whereas back then, especially in the world of MMA, you look at Sean Sherk's training, you look at Brock Lesnar's training. It was just fucking mental.
It was mental. I used to love watching that stuff. Like maybe they did the UFC All Access.
Yep, caveman training.
Oh, caveman training, that's it. And they would take you into a gym. They would put this weird mask thing on their face. It was like an oxygen mask. And they'd just be like on a bike, going for it, jumping off, doing battle ropes. And it looked impressive. But that, like, that must be just crazy. And it must be run.
That's crazy. Those masks don't work, for one. Like the altitude masks and stuff like that. It doesn't meant to replicate. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't do what it says in the tin. So they're out. Like all that mental training is just going to overtrain you. And again, unless like Sean Sherk and Brock Lesnar, you're on copious amounts of steroids, then it's a different story. But yeah, that's just the old school way where we've still thought it needs to be as hard as we possibly can make it, and harder is better. And that was just the be all and end all, and it's just not the case.
And again, it felt like they were selling a TV show as well. I would be curious to see if they were doing that when the cameras were off.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, because then you had people like that were training MMA at the time thinking that's what you do. So they were going into gyms and like setting up circuits and absolutely blasting it. Yeah. Probably doing themselves more damage than good because they'd seen like an all access TV show. Crazy.
Yeah, like there's still people doing that now though. You see them just looking at someone's Instagram and copying it. Right. You have no reason why they're doing that or when they're doing that, or like you don't know anything, but you're just copying it. Like it's just a bit silly, and you're not going to get the best results. And if you're looking to avoid injury, it's just a really stupid way of training, in my opinion.
I think if I was serious about any sort of like combat sport or anything like that at all, I would always seek professional advice, the best you could possibly get, because you're looking for somebody to take you to the next level. You're not looking to just do guesswork and then turn up on the day and see.
No, your job as an athlete is to concentrate on the sport. You shouldn't need to know what is involved in strength and conditioning to the nth degree and nutrition. That's why you hire people. It's like in a business. You know what I mean? I've got a business, but I don't know about the accounting side of it. I've hired an accountant.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. And I talk about it as in pillars of performance, I call them. You've got your pillars of performance. And one of the pillars is you need a good head coach. So you need James Doolan. Boom, you've got him, right? Now you need other pillars, which is a training partner, good training partners. Well, you've got Mark Ewan there, you've got Sean Clancy there, you've got Coonley, you've got all these good people at a higher level. Boom, you've got that now. Now what about a strength and conditioning coach? Well, you've got enhanced sports performance. You've got me. So there's your amazing strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
Nutritionist. There's another pillar. Some people like a mindset coach. There's another pillar. You need these pillars around you. And as you get bigger, you'll require more pillars because you're now going to require a manager. Well, you better fucking make sure you've got a good manager behind you, a good promoter and all that kind of stuff. So these are pillars of performance. Now, I'm not saying that an amateur boxer or an amateur MMA fighter should be getting all those pillars at the start because financially it would just be impossible, right? But as you push on, you need to start making sacrifices and going, right, from this, I'm getting paid a wee bit more now. Let's invest in an S&C coach. Let's invest in a nutritionist. Boom, boom, boom. Right, I'm getting paid more now. Let's invest in a mindset coach, whatever it may be.
Aye, exactly. And it's this, it goes for anything. Like, I'm kind of at the stage where with video editing, I'm doing it for like 2 or 3 people, and I'm getting to the point where the workload's just getting too much. So there's a guy, he actually reached out to me, and he's done a wee bit of my more recent work. And it's excellent as you start to progress, you start to kind of book more jobs. Having somebody else on site, you can just basically outsource some of the work, and you can concentrate on the things that are going to help you grow. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got to outsource at some point. You've got to bring people in at some point. Otherwise, you're just going to stagnate and it's not scalable, is it? Especially from this perspective.
So see, outside of like Instagram and TikTok, where can people find you?
Mainly Instagram and TikTok.
Right. Do you have like a separate website?
So I've got in the handsportsperformance.co.uk. So that's You've got all my things on there. If you want a personalised program, if you want just a normal program, if you want online training, those are the kind of 3 things I offer. But yeah, those are the best kind of ways to get me. Obviously, I've got my gym in Dundee. If you want to come into the gym in Dundee as well, you're more than welcome to.
Is it your own gym?
Yeah, it's me and my business partner's gym. Yeah.
Cool. That's a bold move to buying a gym in that as well.
Well, that was another thing I did, which has been by far the best thing ever, was bringing in a business partner.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
100%. Yeah, but miles better.
What does that involve? Just somebody that wants to share the risk and kind of...
Yeah, do a lot of the work that I don't want to do, don't like doing, or not good at doing. You've got to realise your strengths and your weaknesses. My strength is social media, it's being a good coach, it's being a good S&C coach. But my weaknesses is dealing with all the other paperwork, all the bullshit, all the back end stuff. And I've just not got time to do it. Like we've mentioned, I'm away twice a week training at Glasgow or higher level. I've just not got the time.
And you're constantly putting out, I mean, I see your reels. How many do you do per day? Do you have a set amount?
So I used to be bashing out as many as I can. Well, it'd be 2 max on Instagram, because when you go over that, Instagram really destroys your reach.
Exactly. Yeah.
Two max. And I would just do 1 a day. And on TikTok, I used to bash out as many as I could, 11, 15, 20. It wouldn't matter. But that's when you were getting paid quite well from TikTok.
I remember you saying that, like it's taking a hit recently.
Oh, massive hit. So I'm down 80 to 90% what I was getting paid. And it's all the exact same content. It's just the views. They have crushed your views for whatever reason. It might be just they thought, fuck, we're paying people way too much here. So they crushed the views. I don't know why. But it's actually getting taken up in court and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see.
I've heard a lot of people saying that recently. I'm quite new to TikTok, but a lot of content creators saying their views have just fallen off a hill.
Yeah, it's been really bad recently. And like I say, we don't really know why. But something's going on, because it's across the board. It's not like it's just me saying this. Like I say, it's been taken to court by I think Americans are taken to court and all this kind of stuff. So it's a bit of a strange one. Hopefully TikTok goes back to what it was, because it was financially very much worthwhile just sitting and making TikToks and talking about the news in MMA and the news in boxing.
And they're good fun to watch as well. See, especially the ones when you like critique. I like those ones where you critique somebody else's.
That's
training.
Shit. That's terrible.
And it's so clever, man, because then you get the people in the comments like boom, 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 and it starts the kind of chain of arguments and stuff.
Yeah.
You're just being honest, though, like, you know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just strength and conditioning. It's not that deep. You know what I mean? It's not like we're talking about real world issues here that's going to affect millions of people. It's just strength and conditioning. There's a million ways to skin a cat. I would say, look, I don't particularly like that way of doing it. I do it this way. Doesn't mean I'm right. I'm not going to say I'm the only one that can get you in good shape and can get you winning fights. That's not the case.
No.
But yeah, it's just a fun way for me to do it. I just like doing it. Winding people up.
I think people get precious though, because that's their business model. As you say, like, you know, they're selling you a program or a particular way to do something. So they basically see that as like, you know, a potential threat, and they just start to, and what they don't realize is by responding and by like, they're just basically making an arse of themselves.
Yeah, they just make themselves look stupid.
100%. I can remember like a few weeks ago, we climbed, I think it was Ben Ann in Calendar, and I got to the top and threw a few karate kicks, you know, just for a laugh, like. Obviously joking. That was my background was in Taekwondo, but I'm so inflexible, and that was part of the joke. And like a bunch of people in the comments, like, oh mate, you should try stretching. Those kicks are terrible. And I'm like, thanks for the engagement.
Yeah, some people just don't get it and just get so annoyed. And they don't realise they're doing exactly what we want. They're commenting, they're watching. That's the end goal for us.
Exactly. Perfect. So, man, I won't keep you too much longer. I'm just looking at the time there because I know you're a busy man, and I'm the same. So, but that was really, really cool.
Good, man. Glad you enjoyed it, mate. And if you do want to send me your program, mate, if you want what you're doing just now, and I'll edit it if you need it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. But I'm going to try what you mentioned there about tacking the conditioning on. That's the one big takeaway from me. I'll do that at the end of my strength conditioning, and that'll just it'll get me back into the sort of, I suppose, being fit again, as opposed to just constantly trying to get the numbers up on the bar.
100%. And the problem when you want to go 4 times a week is people put a lot of pressure on themselves when they're busy like us. Oh, I need to go 4 times a week. And then you miss 1 or 2 and you're like, fuck, I fucked it. And you're like, everything then falls apart. Whereas if you just dedicate yourself, right, I'm going 2 times a week, guaranteed, because you know you can do that, right? Yeah. And then you go, if I can, I'm going to get there 1 more time. But that's an if. That's if everything's going well and if the kid's all right and everything, then I'll do that. Then you're much, much happier. You're not so stressed. You don't feel like a fucking failure because you've not done your 4 sessions.
That's a brilliant wee mindset hack, that. To be honest, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, mate.
Because you've described my situation. I'm kind of like all or nothing. So I'll do those 4 days a week and I'll do them for maybe 3 months solid. Then something will go wrong. I'll fall like I'm the rule, like I've kind of get the cold or whatever. Yeah. I'll miss a session. And then instead of just saying, well, that's a missed session, it blows up in my face. And I'm like, oh, well, that's it. It's all wasted. My gains are all gone, you know.
That's it. Yeah, that's the problem when you really want to do something, is this. Sometimes if you fall off and don't do it, then everything crumbles around you.
Aye. The other thing you mentioned was the box squats. We'll try that as well because I'm getting serious problems with my lower back. It seems to be the program that I was following was called 5-5 strong lifts. Yeah, 5x5. That's a very popular one. They encourage you to go all the way down to the bottom of the squat. Fuck that, exactly. Because at the minute, it seems to be once I hit a certain, say, 70, 80 kilograms in the bar, my back's completely, and I'm just training through it. Probably herniated discs and everything, you know. So do not bother doing that. It'll take you months upon months to get the mobility required for you to go ass to grass, right? Right, okay. I have only my athletes ever go to 90 degrees. Right. 90 degrees. Just sit onto that bench. 90 degrees is more than enough for what you need. You're not going to be powerlifting. You just want to get a wee bit stronger, but you want to get stronger. And that's what will get you stronger without getting injured. So yeah, we've got also, us as Scotsmen, we've got something called the Celtic hip, right? It's also known as butt wink. So basically what happens is as you go down, your butt tucks underneath your spine. Okay. And it puts a lot of stress on that bottom point, right? Okay. I'll send you some videos on it, but it's called butt wink or Celtic hip. It's very common in Scottish and Irish people. So you're probably doing that, mate. You've got a lot of butt wink and there's a lot of lower kind of lumbar stress. So box squats, mate, they're the way to go. See, the other thing I was going to ask you, can you replace that with, what's the machine you go in? Is it hack squats or something like that? Is that any good or? Yeah, you could do a hack squat. I wouldn't suggest that over a box squat. I prefer a box squat over a hack squat. But look, again, you're not trying to be a professional athlete. So what's the main thing? Get stronger and not get injured. So if you feel that feels better, I would do that, yeah. Do that, yeah. I've not even tried it yet, but I'll maybe try them as well and try the box squats and just see if the back starts to ease up a wee bit because it's getting intolerable. Yeah. You know, you wake up in the morning, it's taking you 10, 15 minutes just to get moving. Yeah. But it's just not right. No, that's not right. I mean, that's not, it puts you off going to the gym. So, scrap that. Box squats, try them first. If you don't like them, move on to hack squats. If you don't like them, move on to leg press. Awesome, man. Well, I'll be in touch then. I'll let you know how I'm getting on with that. I'm sure there'll be big improvements. And listen, man, thanks very much for coming on. No bother, Andy.